I'm so happy to have you
Me
here.
too.
Like, it's honestly crazy because it's been a year since you've been on. And I feel like it's just like the anniversary of our long distance relationship.
Yet it's only date 2. We've had virtual dates though.
I know. We're so good with our like scheduling time. Well, it's also taught me, I mean, a few things. From the moment you like entered into my old office, because now we're in a new space, I just knew I was like, there's something so connected to our souls. Like even before we sat down, but then after our conversation, I was like we are friends.
Yeah.
Like we need to be friends, to prioritize our friendship.
Yes.
And we have.
We've done well.
And
I'm
you
not
live
normally
far
good at
away.
it. Yeah.
You're not? Neither am I.
I find it so hard to, if I'm somewhere, I find it really hard to think about things that are other places usually. But do you not remember I jumped into your lap after we finished recording the last one? I don't do that.
We were like literally hugging, taking pictures.
And you know, my sister said to me, she was like, you guys are going to be friends.
Really?
Yeah.
Before or after?
Yeah, before.
That's so funny.
Like when I was we're just about to do your podcast, she was like, that's going to be like a friend for life. And so did my ride or die, who I've known for 20 years, assistant called Jane. She was like,
I need to meet Jane.
I know. You should like, you too. Yeah.
It was honestly, it's been really magical because I am someone who doesn't easily let people into my life. And then on the flip, I'm like, I have a lot of friends, but mostly like my friends that I've had for many, many years. And even the relationships that I've let in, I mean, they tend to all be mostly in like a spiritual sense.
Yeah.
Really, like my very grounded, like wellness soul sisters. But I felt like, I had been feeling that I needed this deeper kind of soul connection and felt it immediately with you.
Yeah.
And then it was crazy because we had really just met. But I was like going through something really difficult, and I woke up in the morning and I was like, I wanted to call you.
Yeah.
And then you text me. And I was like, do you remember what you texted me?
No.
You said, I know we're new friends, but if you ever need me, I just have to say that you can always reach out to me.
And then yes.
Oh. And then I was on my bathroom floor crying. And that was the first time.
Oh my gosh.
And then we talked, and I felt like I could really open up to you in a safe way that you weren't going to go like tell everyone what we were talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm paranoid of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting. We have really different designs, but there's something that we share in common in our human design is our profile. And our profile is, there's 12 of them, and we're the same, where we're 2-4.
Yeah.
And so what that means is that we kind of have this balance between like loving connection so much with humans on the outside, and yet we're very selective about who we are with, and we want to go deep, not wide. Even though we can play the wide game.
Easy. We
want to go deep. And we want to keep people for a long time. So losing people is really difficult for us. Or like grieving old friendships is extra difficult. And at the same time, our inner life is like, I want to be in my zone and I hate to be disturbed by the outside world. So it's this play between like, am I a total hermit, or do I just like love being around people the whole time? So because we have that in common, it's funny because when people talk about, you know, I'm a generator, so I make friends with other generators, it's actually your profile that makes you personality-wise more similar.
Oh, yeah. Right. That's more of what I've been like absorbing through the year of fully applying human design in my life in like it's truly effortless. And I think that is the magic sauce about human design, and truly just becoming more in tune with your spiritual sense, like with spirituality. I feel like I can't even believe what's changed in a year.
Really?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I've opened up a lot to you about things, but It was, I think when you're being presented opportunities and it's exciting, and I do feel even at this point in my life, like I can still operate like a survivor. Like I'm just like, take the opportunities when they come, and I'm very good about saying no to things. But when it's something that I'm like, but, and it's more of this dance and flirting with a maybe that I've gotten really fucking clear on.
Wow.
Like there is no space for maybes.
Yeah.
And then it's clearing a lot of maybes, which is very hard to do.
So hard. And for people that don't know, you're a generator. And so that's basically how you use your energy, is that you either have to be, if you are excited by something, you get more energy from doing it. And that means it's aligned. Like I always say, your excitement is your alignment for generators, right?
Oh my
Because
God,
it's not
it's
random.
So true.
It's not random. There's a reason why you're lit up by certain things and not by others. It's like the force behind everything being like, do this, please, let me make it obvious, right? And we're like, no, let me overcomplicate it. Like,
well, because I think it's that mentality that it's like, we have to work really hard. We have to do really hard things all the time. And I do think you have to get yourself out of comfort zone and move into unknown territories.
Yeah.
But once you understand your design, it is like this supporting force field that just like launches you out, but you're so guided.
Yes.
And you just have to, it's like this internal, just honestly, it's like this internal compass.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, but wait a second, hold on a second. Am I really excited? Am I excited about the idea? Or am I excited about the money? But do I need the money? Like it's helped me really get granular with the thing that excites me. Is it because I'm being wanted?
Whoa.
That's a big thing for me.
Yeah. Well, that's so fascinating, because I really feel like that's also the missing piece, is like being able to kind of like call out your ego, and just without shame, just be like, come on, like, you know really what's like, you can tell yourself the stories, but like, you really know what's going on here.
I do.
Exactly. But that's so key.
And being that right there, I think that has been what has opened me up a lot in this year, more than anything, has been this ability to really ask myself, like, why am I waking up not excited? Why am I so drained creatively? Why is there nothing feeling fueled? And I'm very consistent with the things that bring life into me, and while still maintaining doing those things, but I'm like, this is something so much deeper.
Yeah.
And then taking the time to really go deep on it. And then I'm not really big on making lists. Because then sometimes it's like you feel very constrained to the list. And it's more of this like mental checklist for me where I'm like, okay, that didn't feel good. This energy isn't feeling great.
Yeah.
And then it's understanding. And this is where I've called you with complete meltdowns, just like crying my freaking eyes out with this girl I just met and like I'm like, should I make you sign an NDA? But that's what I think about.
Yeah.
Is that bad? No, because I'm like, I've been burned in so many ways in different like shape and form that, but I don't feel that way with you.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
it's a teepee tent. It's interesting that you say that about, and I really want other people to hear what you just said, which is so profound, is like, you don't make lists, because I think there's this pressure to like, you have to know what you want to get something really good. And that's such a lie, because what you're saying about human design, when you live your design, something, just this force like just kind of carries you. Of course, you're making effort. That's kind of the whole tenet behind human design, is that what it says, and the founder used to call this gray science, which is things that he used to say that weren't yet proven by science that would be one day. And they actually, some of them really are at the moment. It's crazy. And he used to say that, you know what a magnet is? Like normally when you learn about a magnet in school, you have a positive and a negative charge in the same place, right? And that's called a dipole, meaning it has two poles. And so he used to say, listen, scientists all over the world are looking for a monopole, because a single pole has to exist somewhere in order for like all the laws of the universe to make sense, but they can't find it. They cannot find evidence of a monopole. And he used to say, we are magnetic monopoles. We have a center inside of us that is a magnetic monopole. What is it? It's composed of just roll with me, the crystal of your soul.
I'm hanging. I'm like,
the crystal of your soul versus the crystal of your body. When they come together, there's a magnetic thing that's created inside you. And we are a magnet, and it's the other side of it is the destiny, the creative force, the God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it. And so this thing is always trying to drive you towards the thing that's magnetizing it to. You have to get out of the way with all the mind and the conditioning. And basically what happens is, the reason why we even want to do that is because stuff that happens is like way better than your mind could even think. I mean, on the daily now, I'm like, what the hell? How is this happening? Like, I can't even believe it. It's bonkers.
no, it is.
But it's also, you get to actually have what's called passenger consciousness, meaning you get to watch the movie of your life as it's unfolding, instead of always trying to be on the front foot and worrying and controlling. You're like, oh my gosh, like stuff is just happening. Like, how is this possible? You know?
Oh my God.
It's incredible.
I do really know, because it's funny because I'm a very strong woman and I know what I want. But on like the flip side, I know nothing that I want. And that was kind of where I was like, okay, I'm doing these things. I have all these things, but like something is not working. What the hell is it? And then it was like a full, just like a deep dive of everything in my life. And really when it comes to business, because I feel like I had lost the core essence of what I built. And not in a way that I wasn't a part of it, but it was getting far away from me. So then I had to ask why and how and with who. And then, I think these are the moments being an entrepreneur that is the hard. It's the hardest part. It's so hard, and it's not pretty, and it's painful. And I'm such a deep, empathetic person that it's like to first of all own that things are not feeling good because of my decisions.
Yeah.
And then, like, I think the beauty of it was, and this is where I really, I feel like I like leaned on you a lot, and more was just like expressing and sharing, because it all can look so shiny and great, but like people don't always talk about the pain that comes with success.
Totally.
Even,
I feel like it's because it's the heavy lifting that comes from so many old patterns and parts of you that have to die in order for you to get to another level. And, that is a grief, and it is a loss, and it's an ego death. Like those parts that's the spiritual work, right? Like, don't you feel like having a business like makes you, I'm sure it's the same with having kids.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, yes. But I feel like it's made me a softer parent too.
Oh,
my kids have noticed, which is really sweet, which is where we're going to totally go on just like a rant about Heath and his work, because
can we just make this the like Heath testimonial?
This is literally going to be like the ultimate. And
he's the best.
He's the best.
Yeah.
But it was like, I was feeling very called to explore more, because I think that's what happens, right? When you start to kind of open your awareness and your consciousness, and then you realize, wow, like how things start kind of opening when you, first of all, go under, make hard decisions, have to, a lot of the time make changes. And it was fully through joy, like just kind of letting joy drive, where I'm like, am I excited about that? Yeah. No. Okay. It's a no,
Yeah.
And then like I was like, I was like, there's got to be something. And I wanted to do mushroom ceremonies, and not that like I'm, haven't done one. I may, but it was like, I was like, God, there's
something
else.
Yeah.
And then you introduced me to Heath.
He's incredible. He's really, you don't even, probably there's no way to describe the magic that he does. But what's so cool about it, and I think this is what is going to we're going to see this, I think, especially in this sort of spiritual space. I think people are yearning for more practical application now. It's one thing to hear the first messages like, you are the light, you can create anything you want, you deserve it all and whatever. But then I think now, especially, we're reaching this time where people want to really ground it. And then you can kind of come back out the other side and be like, oh, I am the light. But it's hard to believe it before you go through all the kind of like, demonstrating to yourself and seeing it move through you and watching it and, removing all the blocks that stop you from believing that stuff, And so I feel like there are certain people, I mean, I can count them on like one hand, who are so there, and he's one of them.
So are you.
Thank you.
You are.
Thank you so much. That's sweet. I appreciate that.
I mean, it's a fact.
Thank you. Well, it's funny that you say that about letting joy lead the way because, again, it's like such simple advice, like just do what you want to do. And people are like, okay, but what does that look like? People get that a lot. And it sounds so simple, but it's, if you keep that in mind, like doing what excites you every single day, that's when it's like a compound interest, right?
Right.
The hard part is like, when you're tempted to say yes, you have to do the hard thing of saying no. When you're tempted by shiny carrots, when you're tempted by what it's going to make you feel about yourself, like all of that stuff is the hard stuff. And for everyone, we're going to talk about this more probably later, but, with me, with a lot of like press stuff that happened last year, there was so many things that I thought I had to do to, have my book be out in certain places, and this is the thing you do, and the rigmarole and whatever. And I was like, listen, I cannot have a book out and be acting in a different way than the stuff that I live and the stuff that is in this book. Like, I have to put my money where my mouth is, because this whole thing is an experiment. Why would I be falling for doing the exact opposite of what I know is me and my way? So in so many ways, like doubling down on who you are and taking a chance on that when there's no evidence that works, because the world is going to tell you that you have to do it this way, this way, this way. That's the hard part, is like, am I just going to go a little bit off center here and just like say something unusual, or say no to something that most people have to say yes to, or it's expected from you, or whatever the stories are? It's like the undoing of the stories. That's the difficult part.
Oh my God. I mean, just to bring it back to like why I was feeling all the feelings that I was feeling, is because I did all the things that were not aligned with my gut and my inner knowing. And it was other, outside influences that I was like, okay, well, that seems like what you're talking about. Like we'll apply it, but God, it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick.
It really doesn't. And I think about that all the time now. Even if this advice worked for the other 8 billion people on the planet, could I be brave enough to say that doesn't mean it's true for everyone? And that's totally fine that it's right for them, but it's also not right for me, and both can be true.
Right.
And I don't have to be like, oh, they're all wrong, or I'm judging them, or they don't know what they're any of that stuff that only creates separation. Like, what about just enjoying having different manuals that work for everyone? It's like, great. It's actually really fun when you pop out the other side. You're like, oh, someone else loves to be strategic and I love to not be. Like,
yes.
Fab. Let's work together,
Exactly. Can you, for anyone who's maybe listening to this and has no understanding about human design, can you break down the different designs?
Yeah.
And a little bit more about the world behind human design, because it's life-changing.
So human design is it's a modality that is based on the position of the planets compared to the place where you were on Earth when you were born. So it's a little bit similar to astrology, except for what it goes on is the fact that we are swimming in a stream right now of subatomic particles, and they're called neutrinos, and they're generated by all the planets and the sun in our solar system. These particles are not like normal particles, where if they bump up against this chair, they'll bounce back. They literally pass through all matter. So they're literally programming us at any given moment. It's like, we know we're swimming in energy. Like, we know places have energy. So this is a way of basically measuring the cosmic soup that you're born in on the time and date you're born. And basically what it says is that the first neutrino stream that you get exposed to imprints you, it stamps you, it programs your DNA, what gets expressed, what doesn't get expressed. It's your first breath into life. So what human design does is it breaks down all of those neutrino streams, and it's mapped against the different strands of your DNA. And so what certain traits you have expressed in you, what's not expressed, because you need certain traits in this life to accomplish what your soul came to accomplish, and other things you just don't need. Right. So we come to this planet with feeling like, okay, I'm not a storyteller. Okay. If I have parents who are storytellers and that's just not who I'm meant to be, I'm going to feel the lack of the fact that I'm not, and I'm going to think I need to become that to belong or to be safe in this world or to be loved. So what happens is we start to think and feel energetically with our auras, because it's a map of your aura, really, your design. I'm around someone a lot and I start to feel like I have to be like them to be safe, to belong, whatever. And so we start to try to become all the things we're not, and we start to try to hide the things that kind of stick out. And what human design does is it gives you this map of like, this is the stuff that you came here with. So just double down on that and just let go of trying to be all the other things. So what happens is there's many different layers, kind of like in astrology, you have your sun, your moon, blah, blah, blah. It's the same in human design. So you can look at your design for your digestion. You can look at your design for what's the best kind of environment. You can look at your the different gifts you have, your life's purpose, everything. But the sort of key foundational things that even if you just knew these two things and iterated these, they would change your life, and you would actually end up living everything else in your design without ever having to know it, would be your energy type, which is how your energy functions, and your authority, which is how you make decisions. So, for example, you are a generator, which is your energy type. So that means how you exchange energy with the rest of the world is that you are ruled by your gut. And the gut is the center that governs excitement and productivity and life force and creativity and sexuality. Okay. So all of those things, those themes in you are defined. You already have like a pre-decided package of what that needs to look like, and you just need to embody that. Okay. And so as a generator, because you're ruled by excitement, that's why excitement is your alignment. You are very black and white, and life, instead of you having to go out and like make things happen, there's this constant buffet of things happening. Like, does this look exciting? Does this look exciting? It's almost like a sushi conveyor belt, and all you need to do is be like, oh, this one is exciting to me, like physically exciting. Like it makes me kind of, jump up. I want to go towards it.
Because it's how I shop too.
Perfect.
I am the fastest, most efficient shopper you'll meet. I'm just like, yes, 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 yes. And so decisive.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
interesting. It just came to me. It's funny.
Yeah. So with generators like you, it's very black and white. It's either it does excite me or it doesn't excite me. When you're trying to make a decision, it's like, not what do I want to do with my life? It's like, do I like this or this? Okay, black. Okay. Do I like white or green? Okay, green. It's so easy for you to narrow decisions down for yourself, because that's when you have clarity. So with generators, and if you want to go like deep dive into this and you want like a custom reading for me, it's all in the app.
Every single thing. So you can find out your design, and she's going to continue explaining all of them in her human design app.
Yeah.
And it's human design.
Yeah. It's just called My Human Design.
My Human Design.
And in there, you have all the other stuff, the digestion.
By the way, so much stuff. You give a lot.
Yeah. And there's like tips.
I don't think people realize how much you give.
No, I know. There's like a whole world
I think
in
you guys need to share more of it.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Because even the meditations and like I listen to all the audios and I'm just like, there's so many things.
Yeah. I know. It's like
when you start cracking the code, you're like, you just want more.
It's true. So that's generators, meaning the way that you need to use your energy is when you are excited about something. That's life's way of saying, if you go here, I will open up all the doors of synchronicities, opportunities, money, success, fame, like all of that will be taken care of. Just follow the excitement. And when you follow your excitement, that's when life gives you the energy to be able to sustain it and do it. So, when you're into something, you can do it all day and you're like vibing, not getting tired or whatever.
At all. And people are like, how do you do? I'm like, I am literally just, when I'm doing the things I'm meant to be doing, I can do so much.
That gut is cranking.
It's cranking.
Yeah. Whereas on the flip side, when you do something that you are not into, that's when they're like tired, stuck, frustrated. Frustration is like the key sign, right? That you're not living on design. Frustration, like a lack of energy, whatever. So that's generators for you. And really what they come here to do is master one thing and become masters at a craft. So you have this ability to just keep on like putting your energy with devotion into like this same bucket over and over again. And it just compound interest. And all of a sudden you're like, how am I at the top of the mountain? I'm the master of my craft. But it was just like that steady, like daily application.
That's it. That's how I literally have done everything without ever really understanding. I mean, I've always known that my gut is my guide, but then when you apply just like the excitement factor and knowing like that's my roadmap and like just keep following it. And when I feel very like about something, like the more I can just honor my feelings, even in my relationship, even that trip, certain people, like I'm just like,
Yeah, well, the conditioning for you, because you are supposed to be following what excites you, is that often the thing that gets you guys early on in life is like, well done for going to see grandma when you didn't want to.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, see, you're being a good human by like sacrificing your own excitement by doing things for other people. But you probably also know that you've done things you don't want to do. And then they end up like there was no energy that bled out of you and made the situation better, because generators are here to generate life force. They lift other people up, but you have to be excited for that mechanism to be on, right? So you can go through the motions of being there for people, but they're also like, well, that wasn't like the sparkly Melissa that we were expecting. And then the situation is actually energetically no better than it was supposed to be. And also you're throwing someone else's alignment out of whack too, even though they might have a negative reaction to you saying no in the beginning. It actually, because we live in a win-win universe.
Right.
So if you are following your alignment, you're staying out of muddying other people's lanes too.
That's what helped me make hard decisions, because I knew this wasn't just about me being in flow and alignment. This is about everyone.
Yeah.
This is not just, because I'm the founder, this has to be a collective energy that is generating in every single thing that we do. And then it just helped me really do it with more grace and compassion, and knowing that this is equal. This is for
everyone.
For everyone.
And ultimately, that I think is missing out of the piece that you might see on like an Instagram meme or a post that says like, do what brings you joy, is that people, I think we misunderstand it, or I did in my early 20s at least, that is at the loss of someone else. Like that means that it's a zero-sum game, and that means like, oh, I just get to be selfish because I'm spiritual, and that means everyone else, like it's okay to inconvenience people, And I think a lot of people have that assumption and that guilt then over doing what's aligned for them. But when you do it from a place of, oh, it's in true service, that I'm actually keeping my side of the street clean because we are all supposed to get there together, even if I can't see how, I am actually ending up benefiting everybody else, because I don't believe in win-lose. I don't believe in me over you. I believe in everyone together. And if you believe in everyone together, then it makes it easier to be like, oh, okay, well, if my internal compass is telling me this, it's not come from my brain, it's come from my body, as you know.
Yes.
This is literally me honoring the fact that there's a piece of the universe inside me. I can't make sense of it with my little brain, but I will just try and listen.
Honor.
That's it.
Yeah, just honor.
Yeah.
And it's wild.
I know.
It really is. I mean, okay, give me the rest. Manifesting generator.
Okay. So manifesting
Reflector.
generators, they also have a gut, but they're not in that steady devotional sort of way. They're built to be very multi-directional. So they're the people who are like 20 unrelated things going on at the same time. They're like juggling many things. They'll do like cycle through many things in their lifetime that are completely nothing to do with one another. There was this NFL football player recently, and so many people tagged me in his video. I forget what his name is. He played for a New York team. Anyway, he was like, oh, there was this app that told me I was a manifesting generator. I'm quitting to do music. And literally, and I mean, it touched me actually. I like really think about how amazing that is, that someone who was at the top of their game was living aligned to how they're built, because these are people who are supposed to tackle so many different things. And unlike you, they're not necessarily supposed to master something.
Yeah.
They're supposed to just master it enough and then transfer the skills into something else. And they are much more like, I want to go here and I want to do this. And I have a side job where I do that. And I teach pottery on the side. Like, that's what they are. And they're just always kind of like rifling in so many different directions. So like my cousin who does subconscious reprogramming, she's also like DJing. You know, it's like that kind of human.
Right.
And so they're ruled by their gut, but their big sort of thing that stops them, I guess, being them, is that they're like, well, you can't just be flaky. You can't just quit where you're ahead. Like, you have to stick to one thing. This doesn't make any sense. How could you be good at two different things? How are other, like, what's your branding going to be? Like, all this kind of rubbish that they get.
Or like focus on the one thing, which is something, I mean, I know I've said.
Yeah. And
but
so
their focus is meant to be spread.
And sometimes it's all in one time. Sometimes it's different times in your life. But they're people who are so multi-passionate and multi-directional, and they can bring so many different things into the soup of their life, basically. So you think about like the Beckhams, and they're like, you know, Angelina Jolie, and they're like all just like, they have this alcohol brand and then their fashion, and then she was in music, and it's like they somehow just like do all of it, and it's all somehow making sense. Like, no one's questioning that it seems cohesive on the outside.
Right.
Or this NFL player.
That is,
isn't that fun?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So with them, it's still excitement, but you have to understand that your excitement is going to kind of bring you to weird, pivotal like turns at different places. And they can handle a lot of energy because they have the same life force generation of that generators do, but instead of like you know, when you're on and you're sparkly, like you are just like everyone just wants to be around you and you're juicy and you're whatever. With manifesting generators, like it's so fun, they're so dynamic. Like, what's there about? Like, you know what I mean? It's like you want to be in that kind of like expansive, anything could happen, limitless. You think of Tony Robbins, like he makes you feel so limitless just by like observing his aura. Yes, that's what he's doing. He's just like in that limitless energy the whole time. So that's manifesting generators, but with them, it's still listen to your gut, but understanding that your gut is functioning in a different way. It's not going to be linear and devotional and compounding. And they have more of a spontaneity to them as well.
They're fun.
They're really fun.
I'm like, I can really think of like manifesting generators.
And then you have manifestors. Manifestors are, they're like a whole different breed. They are people who, well, it's interesting because we talk about manifesting. Let's just park that to the side for now. But in human design, manifesting is the fact that we all have our dream situation. There's certain chains upon which that happens, right? So manifesting generators are the people who are supposed to come first. They are the people who are supposed to like say things, and their words literally just like cascade into everyone else. And then that gives you something to respond to, or it gives the manifesting anyway, I'll go on to the other types, but manifestors are literally people who are supposed to speak things into existence. Meaning, I feel like this, or this doesn't feel right, or this goes here, or da-da-da-da. And in doing so, they literally create movements. So think about like Gloria Steinem and J.K. Rowling and most kings and queens that lived through, and people that conquered like countries were all manifestors.
Wow.
So it's their main thing. And again, it's not that they don't have energy to do other things or any of those other laws, but they are people who they get these like urges to just like shake things up. And just everywhere they go, they just like knock things back into alignment. You know what I mean? That just by the power of saying what they are moved by the universe to feel. It's insane watching it. My sister's a manifestor, and she'll do things all the time where she'll be like talking to people and she'll be like, yeah, but actually she'll be listening to someone deeply. She's like, you know what? You should call it that. And just by doing that, it happens. She's shooting she's an actress. She's shooting a TV show in Ireland at the moment. And, you know, again, there's like certain ways that you should be doing this job and this role and whatever. And every time, because they have this energy that shakes things up, they can feel so like embarrassed by that, and they want to not speak up because that's when they got, like you getting praised for the wrong thing. They get told like, stay small, don't speak up, be quiet and whatever. So whenever she's having issues, because she's like, I feel like my character is this, or I feel like the plot could be this or whatever. Now, instead of thinking, oh my God, I can't say anything, and instead of saying it also in an abrasive way and an aggressive way, she's like, do you know what? She'll call up the person who writes the script and be like, listen, I really want to give you like, how I feel about the character, and you tell me what you think. And they're like, now they're like, oh, call me anytime. I'm always up for like, shall we go to lunch? It's the way that you do it.
Right. It's the way that you do everything.
And again, when you're in alignment, people love it.
Right.
Whatever your alignment is, whichever type you are.
Because it comes forward in a way where it's received.
Yes.
Where it's not like defensive or like picking or nitpicking. I feel like I have a side in me that can really go both ways. And I know when I'm not aligned because it's abrasive.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when we're all doing it with the wrong consciousness.
Frustrated is the word.
Mm-hmm. That's how you know.
I'm going to really stay locked in with that word.
Yeah. That's like literally the sign the universe gives you when it's like, just get back on the path is it's called your not self. So every type has a not self, and a generator's not self is frustration. So it's amazing watching her because, she like lives her design so much. I'm like, that's what the informing is. That's what they do, is they don't listen to their gut. They have this like, it's almost like a build up inside them where they feel like they have to say something. And it's so natural for them to say it. But instead, they have to wait. Like for her, she was like sitting around twiddling her thumbs, waiting for auditions for years. And I'm like, Sophia, call up your agent and tell her the kind of roles that you really feel passionate about. And then you'll see. And her agent is like, oh my God, I'm so happy you told me. And finding all these things for her now. And they have a better relationship. And she's got roles that she actually likes now. And I just like inform because people want to know from you. People with manifestors, you just want to be on their train. You want to be part of the world that they're creating, right? So you're like, tell me what you're doing so I can either get on the train or not. But like, I need to know where you're heading, right? So that's manifestors. Then you have projectors. Because manifestors, manifesting generators, and generators are what we call energy beings, meaning their system creates energy. Projectors actually ride off other people's life force. So I'm with you right now and I don't have a gut. I'm literally magnifying your own gut and you're giving me life.
You have so much energy.
But that's you.
I was literally just thinking.
No, that's totally you. When I'm by myself, it's not the same story.
Well, plus this was, it wasn't that early, but like, I get it. You're not a morning person. And it was early for me too, by the way.
You.
No, I like to, have my time in the morning to do all my things, and was interrupted by my best friend. Although she steamed all my clothes and really teed me up amazingly, but I can get easily distracted. So it's like, I have to really ground. But I was just thinking your energy is so on.
It's you being excited, your generator. And now when our auras are together, we're making a compound aura where we have our two gifts and everything that we bring to the table is like becoming one.
Feel it.
Yeah. So because we don't have that life force that governs the productivity and the sexuality and the excitement, we are very susceptible to feeling that in other people and magnifying that stuff. What happens, the gift of that is that I'm able, because I'm not mired by my own life force, I'm able to see everyone else's. And it almost gives us a bird's eye view where we have the blank slate in us to be able to say, there's a little tweak or an improvement, or go here. Here's projectors, we all love like efficiency gains, and we all love like making things better. And we're obsessed with like tweaking stuff all the time. And so what happens is that we are able to see things, we see deeply into other human beings, and we are able to see how you could tweak something. So you can be a projector and be a lawyer. You could be a projector and be a photographer, but there's always that angle of making something better, And so with projectors, because our aura is very one-on-one, it sees deeply into other people, we are always wanting, when we're kids, to be bossy, basically, or tell people what to do. And listen, you can be bossy because of other things in your chart, but it's because of that deep, like, I could see something you could do that would bring an efficiency gain. And so we're always wanting to volunteer that. And in childhood, it gets, stop doing that. Don't, stop pushing the stuff on other people. Really what we have to do is we can only share that when we are invited. Meaning not giving unsolicited advice. Doesn't matter if you feel like it could so help anybody, anything like that. It's all about once someone sees you, then you can share. But otherwise, it's like bouncing a ball off a wall and it will smack you in the face.
That is so hard to do.
It's so hard to do. And are not self is bitterness, which means no one gets it. No one understands me. No one sees me. You know, why it's so obvious. They're so dumb, blah, 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 blah. And the list goes on and on. Okay. So with projectors, we are here to see something. And every projector has their niche that they see. That's their fascination. So whatever, if you're a projector and you're listening to this, what are you fascinated by that you just cannot consume enough of? And then if you basically allow people to see that that's what you are available to be invited for, then that creates people wanting. If you're shoving it down other people's face, that's a turn off. So instead, just being this open, like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm up to. If people ask, or if it comes naturally and organically into a conversation, you don't have to create invitations. They will just come. And more now, it even sometimes gets tempting for me. Like, oh, maybe I should just ask this person or reach out to this person. I know better now. I'm like, Melissa, everything that has happened for me.
You never ask for things. I've noticed that about you.
And everything that has happened for me in my business and in life, dating, friends, business, any type of work opportunity, hiring people, they invite me.
I invited you on.
Literally. And you know, sometimes I'll tell you with the book a funny story, because there was one person where my ego was really tempting me of like, okay, let's send a book to this person. When the PR of the publishers asked me, and I was like, oh, this would be like a dream person to send it to. The book, the return address, it bounced back. And so it becomes so obvious now.
So weird.
You're like, come on, stop it now.
Like you can't force it.
You can't. And the more deep down this journey you get, the quicker the feedback gets. So I would say to people that it is, if you feel like you can't imagine this kind of way of being guided through life, know that the first time you do it is the time you're going to believe in it the least, and the time it's going to be the hardest, but also the time you're going to get on the train. Like that from 0 to 1 is like, you're in the game.
Being like now, being friends with you too, you are the same way in a friendship. Like you're the best listener. Oh my God, you have such a gift with just listening.
Thank
and
you.
You never give advice until I ask you.
Mm-hmm.
I say like, what do you think? And truly, from 2 things you've shared with me, help guide me to kind of honing in differently.
Yeah. Well, think about it as a battery. If you use your gift, which if mine is that, on the wrong stuff, it's not gonna hit when it really needs to. And there's so much guidance that you could be doing out of ego. Again, learn that the hard way. Like you know what I mean? We know better now.
Return of time.
It's so funny. I mean, we were howling when that happened, because I was like, why have I been doing this for so long? And yet,
well, because
you forget.
Well, it's also the test.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how things will start to come in, and it almost tests your ability to stay the course.
Yeah. It's like, are you ready for your next level of becoming who you came here to be? There's another version of you that's on the other side of this, but we'll dangle a shiny carrot here just to see.
Right. To keep you. And then it's like, it brings back that whole wave of suffering. And it's like, why did I do this? And
it's so funny at this point. When you know people's design, it's just hilarious how things fall into place.
It's really funny. And I feel like even like Dylan will say to me, I'll be like, okay, yeah, no, like I'll do that. And she's like, but I think we should just like not do it, because I can see that you're going to cancel on this. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. Like, thank you. Because I want to do everything. I want to help. And then it's nice to also be reminded of the things that probably are not immediate yeses, but I make the yes I finesse the yes.
I love that. It's so powerful too to have other people. What you said is so key, is people that help remember who you are when you forget. Because that's like when it really starts to fast track, you know?
Ooh, that's good.
You know, people who I work with, we all know, like, I'm not going to ask Jane, who's a generator, to do something she's not excited about. Even if my mind sometimes is like, no, but this role, and then it's just like, no, like, let's just let it evolve. Like, I know it's going to backfire to me if I tell her to do something that she doesn't want to do. And I'm not joking. Sometimes I have said, no, but Jane, this really needs to get done. Like, somehow someone needs to do it. Like, you know what I mean? And like 6 months later, oh, we didn't even need to do it in the end, or the law changed, or whatever it is. I'm just like, okay, life, you know.
I need to, like, I can feel this. It's this desire to also bring this into the workplace and everything around me. Because like I tell everyone do these things, but it's like, but then how can we all kind of be on the same understanding of each other's design?
Yeah. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. It's insane.
Reflectors.
Shall I go to reflectors?
Reflectors.
Yes. So reflectors, this is a really funny one, because you know how I was saying that you have a gut and manifesting generators have a gut and I don't have one? You have 9 energy centers, which are kind of like chakras inside your system, and they all connect with basically different wires. That's what your chart will look like. Reflectors, we all have some degree, of different centers that we come in with. They're defined. We have them. You have your own set gut, and I don't have one. They have none of their 9 centers colored in, defined. So why are they called reflectors? Because they literally take on the energy of wherever they are at in every center.
Wow.
So they are such chameleons and they are such mirrors. If they are centered in themselves, they can be such mirrors to who you are. Whereas a projector can kind of guide your the life force of where your actual energy. A reflector, you can really see yourself. You know how you say, oh, in others you see yourself?
Yeah.
In a reflector, you can absolutely see yourself. If they are not in their conditioning, which is, if they came here to be such blank slates and such chameleons and nothings, what's their biggest pain point? You have to know who you are. You have to double down on having an identity. You have to ship that identity to everyone. You have to build this whole character around it, right? And that blocks them from being able to do what they really are good at, which is, if you meet a reflector who is so deeply profound, they will tell you your own thoughts back to you. It's insane what will happen.
Like, give me someone who's a reflector that you can think of.
Jordan, Balance Blonde,
yes,
and Lauren Bostick. They're both reflectors.
Both such reflectors.
They're such reflectors.
And it's rare, right? It's not as common.
1% of the population.
Wow.
Yeah. 1% of the population. And I'll never forget, I was in LA and I was there with my boyfriend at the time. This is 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I was just like, I cannot be with him anymore. It was a Cancer full moon. It was his birthday. He had like given me all this stuff for basically what the shadow of being a projector was. I wandered to the Mystic Journey bookstore on Abercrombie to buy a human design book, of all things. I picked up a human design book that day. And the guy behind the counter was like, oh, human design, human design. I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm a reflector. And I said, oh my gosh, can we have 5 minutes? And he comes, we go outside and he's like, this man is not right for you. And I know it's difficult, and I know he's a Cancer. Like, it showed me what the possibility of being a reflector could be.
Wow.
He was literally me back to me.
That is like crazy.
Insane.
It's so true about, like, I feel like going back to Lauren and being on the Skinny Confidential for the first time. Like, I just remember she was so powerful and like, this is big what you have, and she was just very like strong with her delivery, but it was like she really saw things.
And their eyes are so penetrating. It's
both
freaky. Yeah.
Yes.
Most reflectors have those kind of eyes where you're like,
Lauren has, and Jordan.
Yeah. So those are the energy types, which are how you're supposed to exchange energy with the world. So projectors, I'm riding high for your energy right now, but I don't make my own life force. So I'm taking in productivity from the rest of the world and I'm magnifying it. And then I can't sustain that for 8 hours a day.
So what will you do?
So I will do this for 2 to 3 hours and then I need to come back to my own empty sacral center. Just like, and this is a different thing, but just like you, who is open emotion in your emotional center, you can take on all the emotions of other people. You can magnify them. You're so empathic. You feel everything. But then you need to come back to your center because you yourself are not generating emotions, right? So you need to empty that out. You need to empty the emotions out. I need to empty the sacral center out.
Wow.
So this is kind of, that goes deeper. But then you have your authority. Your authority is how you make decisions. So with you, listening to your authority is listening to your gut. So you're great because you have a double gut, basically.
It's so clear in my life now more than ever. Because whenever I haven't, if I haven't felt something in my gut, but I've made a decision, it never works in my favor.
That's incredible.
Or if I go against it.
And so your authority, there's loads of authorities, but it basically explains how, how it says like, listen to your intuition. Your authority basically says, okay, your intuition is different for every person. Mine is based on my emotions. Yours is based on your desire. Other people's based on their instincts. Other people's based on their ego. Like, what do they want? Right?
Yes.
Other people need to talk it out with other people to hear themselves and process. Other people, what makes sense to you logically. Other people, reflectors, they need to wait it out and not be so spontaneous and see life kind of give them the nudges over and over again. So we all have different ways that our intuition speaks to us. But if you just knew what your intuition would be, what's your manual for your intuition in any given moment when you need to make a decision, and you're using your energy type correctly, everything else falls into place. And that's really the power, is type on authority every single day, type on authority over and over again. It's the answer to everything. And that's when you see it compound.
It's so interesting because I feel like when you were first describing human design, I'm like, you get a little like, huh? And I'm always like that at first, but then it's like the application. And then it helps you to really understand, well, wait a second, like everything is energy, right? And I mean, I can walk into a cafe and I can know immediately if I did it with you. Remember when we went and we sat down and I look at you, I go, we can't stay here. I was like, I'm sorry. And then we're walking on the street and I'm like, we got to walk faster. Like, it's crazy that I can just.
Yeah. And that's also what's so cool is that when you're not trying to direct your energy on the wrong things, i.e. if you're not listening to your energy and authority, then actually it opens up all your other gifts, right? So your primary gift, if I remember correctly, is 5. And that is about timing. It is about rituals. It is about all the things that the daily sort of routines and habits and time, like so unusual about your time. And that's, I said to you before, like the ultimate expression of that gift is bending time. The highest version of that is bending time, which, now sounds absolutely cuckoo, but check back in 3 years and see how that sounds, Right. And every gift, we haven't seen how far it can go because we just haven't given ourselves a fighting shot of iterating that to the highest degree.
Right.
So every gift, everybody has one that is the strongest gift in them.
So when they go into the app, because I feel like this is the thing sometimes, I mean, I feel like this is where Taylor comes in.
Yeah.
If you listen to Jenna's podcast, and your podcast is my human design, not my human design, human design. And I feel like Taylor will always like break it down and be like, okay, so if you go in the app, you guys, and like it is helpful.
Yeah.
Because you think people know and they don't. And I think that's honestly, even for myself, I'm like, people will be like, oh, I wish you had a beginner program. I'm like, we have a beginner program. We have every program. Like they're right here.
Yeah.
So sometimes just breaking it out. But when you go to the human design chart, is it my profile?
Yeah. So you go
like
on your
where
design.
Are people finding this? Because I think.
So you go on your design. And you have a list of, you have your energy type is first, you have your authority, you have your profile, which is that personality thing you and I have in common.
Yeah.
Then you have your signature, which is what you feel when you're living a design, which yours would be satisfaction, which is just like you feel the end of the day and you're like, I could have just drunk that up, like, oh, it feels so good. I feel so satisfied. And then you have the one that comes after that is your not self, which is frustration. What happens when you feel like you're not living your design. And then it goes into all the gifts that you have. So the time thing, the being a good storyteller, the, whatever it is, like logic. That's a gift. Some people have it, some people don't. Yeah, we all think we have to be logical,
Right, right.
So it has a list of all your gifts. Then it has your incarnation cross. Your incarnation cross is the purpose of your life. So it's like, what's your karma? What do you come here to do? What's your life's purpose? And so yours is to do with time and rituals and all that kind of thing, if I remember correctly. And then you have how your emotions function. So you being someone who feels other people's emotions, me being someone who can't feel other people's emotions because I'm so in my own vibe, my own moods.
That's what when we were at the cafe and I was like, did you? And you were like, no.
Didn't clock it. Could not clock it if I tried.
Okay, get out. We're getting out of here.
And that's what we're like. We just can't tell. We're like oblivious.
That's what you said.
And then there's so many other things. There's your digestion, and it will tell you basically everything when you go into your chart. And then you can go into the tips section and read so many different kind of tips and questions that people send in about like, okay, if I'm a generator, how do I shop? And there'll be a whole me answering that. Or how do I pack for a trip? Or how do I deal with my kid who's a projector and I'm a generator? Or my kid is a 2/4. How do I as a everything's in there. So it's like
really deep.
Yeah.
You do a deep dive.
Yeah. So it's all there, like you said, but so Taylor, her incarnation cross, there's 100, her life's purpose. There's 192 of them. So it's not likely that
everyone has
you're going to find a really specific one that's specific to you. And she is what's called the cross of explanation.
She's so good at explaining things.
Yeah. And so even on our calls with our app developer, I'm like, Taylor, just explain, say the thing. Because it's not me.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah.
That is.
And she gets so high off of it now. She loves explaining stuff. That's really all she does across every angle of our business. She's just explaining stuff away.
That's what I've been feeling in my life right now after being in that place. It was really early this summer and I was sharing with you. And now it's like, I'm just finding so much excitement and joy in like the littlest things. And I really do always say like the small things are the big things, especially for me, that, I've recognized that I feel like my ego loves the big thing. And don't get me wrong, like I love doing a big thing. I love a project. I love a side situation. But I'm really just living in this neutral zone of just being like happy with my life, and not feeling like I need to do something else and that's kind of been this question that I have to ask myself, like, do I really want it? Because I don't think I need it, and like, but do I want to give time and energy to that thing? Has been.
It's weird. It makes you more present, doesn't it?
So present.
It's like, oh, I thought I knew what presence is, but this is a whole other thing.
That's what it is.
I'm in the movie.
I'm in the movie. I'm not just, I'm like fully living it.
Yeah.
And
through your own eye, you're like watching it in your eyes.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, this is what life is supposed to be for all of us. Like, imagine what a great world it would be if everyone just was so in love with their own story and their own life. Like, imagine.
I know. Instead of picking apart everyone else's, which is where people put so much of their energy.
Yeah.
And why they have nothing to give to themselves or their family or the thing that they're really meant to do and they know it.
I often think about that Elle Woods quote with Human Design when she says, happy people just don't shoot their husbands. I'm like, I just want everyone to be living their dream because that's the solution.
It is. We need people that are walking around really content with the life that they live. And I think it's really hard when you're not to look at someone who is and be like, well, she has this, or it's her husband, or whatever the things are that people love to say that I could actually give two fucks about. But it's interesting when you can take a real good hard look at the way you are living your life, the energy, and that's where I really want to go with you because I've realized so much that the energy that we bring forward to every single thing, the simplest tasks, is what pours through us with the bigger things, with the conversations with our kids, with connecting with our people, our friends, our communities. And it is so hard to do when you're so disconnected from yourself. But it's like, this is why I love having a podcast, because it's such a, even sitting here, like having this with you, I'm like, it just wakes you up. It wakes you up to the possibility of like what could be.
Yeah.
And when you see other people embodying that and showing that it actually can be done, and not just because of the stuff you think you see that got them there, right?
Yeah.
It's from truly living this life in complete, utter alignment with who you are.
Yeah.
And when you have the energy and honestly, in the knowing of your human design for me, and then you have the habits to support it, is when life becomes this launch pad of endless possibilities.
Oh my God.
Well, because then you just start, it's like, it truly is, you become a magnet for the things that are meant to be
yours
100%.
all along. It's like they're swirling around our aura, just waiting to come in.
Yeah.
And we just need to click things into place so that they can. Because like life is already trying to give us everything. It's already like, just whenever you're ready, honey, like waiting for your cue, but I'm honoring your free will. So you got to give me the go ahead before I can force this on you. Because if I force all your blessings on you and you're unaligned, it's not going to stick.
Yeah.
And, you know, I swim in this soup of other people who are aligned, who I feel like help me get aligned, even though I know I'm not trying to be like them. It's just inspiring to be around other people who are in their expression and their essence. Like it pulls you up too. But I think about my 22-year-old, 23-year-old self who was like, that is so far away. And that's who I think about when I think about what I do. I'm like, would this have helped my 22-year-old self to get to just the thing that on-ramps you, you know? Because it's not about being more deserving than other people. Or I always thought like I somehow missed the memo. Like,
Same.
Did you?
Oh my God, yes. And it's so weird that you just said that, because as I was just saying to you, when people are unhappy, these are the ones that are making negative comments on people. Like, I'm just like, would you ever do that? Like, it's wild, right? When you really think about it. And I mean, I think about that, like I'm speaking to myself, to that young version who never thought anything was possible. That it was just like, this was it. This is what you got. That's what you got. You got lucky. You didn't. And you move through and you just, you know, it's not great, but you do what you can with what you have. And I truly felt that way, honestly, up until I found spirituality.
Wow.
And I talk a lot about meditation. And without a doubt, meditation has been and continues to be this vehicle that supports my spiritual practice.
Yeah.
But it was really understanding for the first time in my life that there's a source greater than us, and that there is this power that's actually here to support us when you can connect to it and you can have a relationship with it. And I think that this is something that I've realized in my life. I feel like, you know, walking away from my conversation with David and just having the conversations I've had with you, and even Jamie, organically Jamie, and all of the people in my life, I'm like, you know, spirituality is actually the thing that completely cracked me open. But it feels so unattainable, not accessible. And when I talk about this, I really want it to be something that feels like you can apply it in your life. Or I think it really is just cultivating this relationship with, you know, you don't even have to have your eyes closed. For me, when I close my eyes is when I can deeply go in. It's how I can come back to my breath and just, it's just like, I'm okay. Like I'm safe. Like I am being supported. And then like talking to the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it really is a form of prayer and meditation, but also just not being afraid to ask, like, show me, guide me. I'm so lost. I'm so unhappy. Like, please show me what I need to see. Like, I think that, that right there is such a beautiful intro in just attempting to connect to the divine, whatever. I don't know. Like, for me, it changed. Like, it is the creator. It is this divine source, this higher power. But, and it's something I do. I mean, I do it all day. I do it all day. How do you connect? Because I feel the more I've gotten to know you too, you're very spiritual. You've been studying Kabbalah for many years. I studied Kabbalah for years. It's come back into my life in such a beautiful way where I'm like just reminded of the power of being connected to the creator and showing up like that every day.
So, well, in Kabbalah, we figured out we started going to different Kabbalah centers around the same time. Me in London, you here. So that was 14, 15 years ago now. And one of the sort of most fundamental things that they teach is like, we are here to become like the creator. So all the qualities that you would say that a creator is, magnanimous, loving, forgiving, expansive, limitless thinking, joy, all of that stuff.
Kind.
Yeah. So we are here to become like the creator, and that's what this whole life is about. And overcoming yourself, your ego, your karma, in order to become that. So one of the things that I really think about is that the connection is always there. So when do we block it is when we start acting as if we've forgotten. So like what blocks my connection to spirituality is like, I put the glasses on every time I'm trying to control, in fear, in lack, putting myself down, whatever it is, like whatever your ego flavor is, like feeling sorry for yourself, telling stories about people, judging people, whatever. That's when your connection doesn't feel as strong and you feel so far away from that. Whereas, when we talk about overcoming yourself, the more you overcome those things, the more you feel like, oh, I'm just a facet of this, 8 billion corners of this diamond or this crystal that the creator is a different part of, we're each of a different part of the fullness that is the creator. And the creator needs us to exist just as much as we need it. Because without humans, it's this unmanifested potential. And so it's our job to believe that we might have a magnificence inside of us that is on loan to us in this life. And we have to treat it like the sacred thing it is. I don't think I'm amazing because I'm amazing from an ego place. I'm like, oh, there's this amazingness that I am tasked with getting out of my own way and serving and bleeding into this world, right? So that's when I think I feel strongest. The connection to the creator is actually when I'm like catching myself in a moment of being not so great and being like, hold on, you are all the things you think you want and all the ways that you feel like you want to be in this world and whatever are not there. So start acting like the creator again.
Yes. Deleting the message that you wrote that's been a massive practice for me. And I'm very quick on the tongue, so I can just like say things. I've been doing less of that. Judging less, which is something I've been working on with Heath, and being able to recognize that is actually something that stands in the way of me taking it to the next level. And it's just like, it's hard to do. It's hard to own that it's you.
Yeah.
And I think that myself, when I was in it, I was like well, if we didn't do this. And then this second, I had such a profound awakening after giving it, just letting it rip. I was like, this is mine. I have to take ownership for this. And the best part of that is that you can fix it.
Yep. Yeah. The second you take responsibility, you have full power. That's always what it comes down to.
Power.
Yeah. And who doesn't want full power to change their movie? Like, it's amazing. It's so powerful. One of the things that we have this in a section in the app on the homepage called How to Grow. And one of the big sort of tenets of it is accepting your humanness, i.e. see your shit and like yourself anyway. So let there be nothing that I can't say to me about me and still be okay with myself. Because if you can say I was controlling, I was, manipulative, I was mean, I was whatever, and I can find the very innocent reason why, I can understand why a part of me felt like it had to do that. And that's so sweet that you would want to do that. And now we're going to do something different.
It's so true.
Come along for the ride, but now we're going to start acting like a spiritual grown-up.
Exactly. And that's what I've been catching myself. And not in a way that I'm like trying to catch myself. I'm just so aware of the things that I want to really call in that I haven't fully been able to because I've been giving my energy to so many other things. And a lot of it's bullshit. And it's talking or gossiping or whatever it is. And when you can look that dead in the face, oh my God. It's just, it does like stir up this power in you that you're like, okay, well, what if I don't say that thing? Or what if I don't send that message? Or if I say it differently, right? And that's been a massive practice for me, because when I reached out to you and I was like, I just feel this, because I do the things and I love the things and I swear by the things, like they work, you know? Like when you actually do this work, it freaking works. It does. And there's so many different ways, but when you can apply it in your way, and I think it's bringing the energy forward daily and just being it. Right? Where it's less of like, I have to do this thing because this is going to make me get the thing I want. It's not that. It is not that. Because by the way, the thing a lot of the time that you think you want isn't the thing, because you're not even clear with who you are. And then you call in things beyond, what your mind's eye could even see.
It's insane.
It's insane.
It's insane. Instead of feeling like we have control over the future because we need to know what it looks like and then we need to craft the exact plan to get there. Like just becoming the person you came here to be, that's the manifestation. That's all. That's all that. Everything else comes from there. Like it's just focus on that, being your real self and being a conscious,
human.
Work on your consciousness, right?
Work on your consciousness.
Those two things. Because you can be your real self and still have shitty consciousness, and vice versa,
Totally.
You can have great consciousness, but be acting in a different way than your real self. So they kind of have to go both. And I love that you said that they have different angles, because you can go thoughts, you can go intentions, and you can go actions. Obviously, all three together is like, oof, bam. But
that's when I'm angles. The most, like, it's wild. That's what I've been feeling. Like, I've just been feeling, and it's so funny because I feel a lot of people have been saying something to me recently in the past couple months. And yes, I've been working with Heath. I think Heath is a life awakener. He is a transformation coach. It's very much focused on energy, the energy that we give to things, the energy that honestly, I think the biggest understanding is just like what I embody and like what I want to bring forward, because then it just like, it's like game on. Make sure you're ready to call in what you want to call in, because it's coming. It is coming.
It's so true. He's not he's a heavy, he's big guns.
Oh yeah, no. It's funny. I shared him very, very delicately, because I feel like I'm still, I want to keep things sacred, but I love sharing and I get excited when I share. So I know that I want to when I feel that way, but I know I'm like, this is not work for everyone. And you can think that it is, but you have to be so ready to be cracked open. And it's just really helped me clear a lot. I've done a lot of clearing. And that's been really powerful. And I sage, I Palo Santo, I do even just like energetic clearing, but it's just been this layer, this deeper layer.
Where he kind of like makes you put your money where your mouth is, doesn't he? He really calls you out. I think it's so amazing with these things with timing, because everyone talks about divine timing, whatever. But there's so many times, one of my really big things is I can get really impatient. And,
Really? Shocked.
Not with people, with things, like processes.
Okay.
Like if I think about something, I'm like, why doesn't it exist already tomorrow? Like yesterday, like what's up? Like, come on. A process is something I'm better at it now than I was, but when things take longer than I can't. But really this understanding of divine timing has really helped me, because how many times can you look back and you're like, oh, I was like so bratty and thought I was ready back then. And now I look back, I'm like, thank God that didn't happen then. Or thank God you didn't meet Heath at the wrong time, because you would have not believed in what he said or whatever.
Or actually even applied myself during the sessions.
Yeah. It's just like, so why are we trying to insist on this needs to happen for me? Like what you said, like this needs to happen because I want this. And then it's just like, we're so silly. We're like, in a cute way, we're quite dumb.
We're just, I think we just don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's been the biggest thing for me. It's like, even now I'm like, I think I know, but then I'm also like, show me. Because I thought I knew. And I'm just like, the giving over has been so freeing.
Yeah.
So freeing. But what I love, I'll just gush about Heath for one more second and his amazing work. And I'm just like, we need this for the masses. I need this where I can just tell. It's crazy because when you think about it, there's nothing like it.
I know.
Oh, don't worry. My head's been spinning.
Mine too.
Oh, I've been like, but it's this and it's this and it's this. So how is it here? No, it's been deep.
So interesting.
It's been really deep.
I actually told him that recently. I'm like, you need to make a thing that everyone can access.
Same.
Like,
so did I. I told him. I did. I was like, this has to be, because not everyone's going to do a session, or multiple sessions. But what I loved that I found was different than anything I've done, because I've done the executive coaching, I've done life coaching, I've done health coaching, I've done all the things. I love all the things, therapy. And I think all these modalities work in so many different points in your life. But this kind of felt like almost everything, and he doesn't share it like this, but this is kind of my interpretation and what it's given me. It's all of these things underneath the one roof. But when I went to him, it was because I feel like I've been standing in my own way as a motivational speaker. And I'm like, what is it? Like, I want to get to the bottom of it. And like, that's what I want to focus on doing. And then it's been so interesting because I feel like with maybe working with other professionals, it would have been like, well, this is the goal. And like, this is the goal we're working on. But because energy has guided our sessions and what we're working on, that's been like over here. And it's been more of the detangling and the uncovering and the understanding and the clearing. So then like now I feel like I'm in this space where I can just like, it's wild, because I did a talk about a week ago, and it was the most aligned I've ever felt when I've spoke ever. And I don't prepare, and I share that because it's not about like sitting down and, writing an outline. It's energy. I prepare energetically. But it was just like, I was like, oh my God, like it's coming.
Yeah.
I'm doing it, and it's in smaller ways, but I don't care. It doesn't matter the number of people or this. It's just the act of really getting myself out there and like grooming the skill.
And don't you feel in a way that it is, you have the thing and it kind of just pops, and you did a lot of work to get there, but you also don't know how you got there. And it's the same with like the giving over that you're talking about, where you don't know what's best for you, but also when you get something, so like I always kind of had a feeling deep down, this is where I was supposed to. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's a surrender, but it's also like you kind of also are just like surrendering to your destiny. You're letting your destiny take over.
Yeah.
I think that's what Heath does. I think he's just like, you're already going towards a thing, and Heath is like, this is in the way, this program's out the way, this is how you're, sabotaging, He works on the themes more than the things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. that is exactly it, which has been really, really helpful for me to understand. It's not about like achieving this thing, right? But it's about like breaking down the things that have gotten in the way of me getting there.
Mm-hmm. And then he just lets you fly after that.
Oh my God. I've just been like, it's been, well, because I love sharing these things, but I'm like, how can we keep in like this? That's why it's so nice to do this, because it is something that I think, even if you know, you're not working with a coach or anything, but just checking, like have energy check-ins with yourself.
Yeah.
I do it throughout the day where I'm like, that meeting, I don't know that I need that one.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, energy doesn't lie.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. And everyone has incredible energy. You know, like we know how we talk about like, oh, bad energy people, you know, like in that kind of jargon again, like it's, you can, with practice and with the daily discipline, that's what the work is like, can I show up as someone who I'm proud of? Like, can I create that? How do I be today? How do I like be kinder, be softer, be magnanimous, whatever all the things you want to be? And you know, in Kabbalah, this is also interesting because they say, you know, even if you think you're not like mean or you tell yourself you're a good person, like another form of ego is not believing in yourself or doubting yourself all the time. So you can have really internal ego too. You have to overcome that stuff too.
Yes.
It's not just being, you know, reactive and saying harsh words. It's also like, you know, putting yourself down or, you know, all that stuff too.
That's very big.
So, you know, all of those things, that's when everyone is capable of cultivating incredible energy because we are the divine.
We are. We are. And the more that you can just connect to it in your way and even just give yourself a few minutes a day, of just connecting. And like I said, like for me, like what is your way of connecting? Is it dance? Because I know you love to dance in the morning.
I dance in the morning. That's how I feel like I connect to the energy of
just
joy.
like freestyle. She's not like doing a choreographed
No,
dance.
I just dance. But I often it's just like put my hand on my heart and it's like.
That's a big one.
Yeah. And I just, whatever do I want, wish someone else would tell me right now. Like, you know, there's a kind, loving person in there somewhere when I feel like I'm not. Or, you know, what do you really need? Or what do you really want to say? Or just like, thank you. Hi, up there. Like, you know, whatever the thing is. Like I sit on my bathroom floor, I just put my hand on my heart. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always end here, unless I'm just like really deeply and I, you know, will hold for a really long time. But I think, look, when I really think about all of this and like bringing it back full circle, it's all about just connecting with you. It's about deepening your relationship to yourself. And I think people that have bad energy or you're feeling things are just deeply disconnected from themselves. I don't think they're bad people.
I agree.
And that's why, like, mean comments and whatever it is, like, I feel pain for anyone who would ever bring forward like something like that and put that out into the universe for other people to feel, because it's an unfortunate reflection of inner pain.
Yeah. And there's I make myself try to find a reason why that would make that happen for me to go, oh.
Yeah.
As a practice, when I judge it, I'm like, oh, what could be the reason why someone would do that? And I find it. I look for one until I go, oh,
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I catch myself too, because, you know, when someone opens the door for you, or you open the door for someone and you're like, they didn't say thank you. And I'm also like, you've also probably just been on your phone and not said thank you to someone. Like, you can fall on, to wider degrees, you can fall on both sides. Oh, I'm just having a busy day, or I was in a rush, or whatever. Like, so much is forgivable, where we just don't need to be pinning so much on that stuff, you know?
We really don't.
So,
you're such a beautiful person.
And so are you.
I'm just like so grateful to have you in my life. I literally needed you.
I needed
like,
you.
It's so weird. You've been like, you've come in and just been something that I've felt I've needed for a long time. And it's hard sometimes to connect in this way so deeply. And, you know, it's like when you pull back all the words, because it feels like there's so many things. It's really simple.
Wow.
It's a simple thing.
Yeah.
And you've given me that. So
thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. You've given me so much too. It's like effortless.
Effortless.
Everyone does
And just
that.
how this felt.
Yeah. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Where can everyone find you? Tell us all the things. And your app is so accessible, by the way.
Thank you.
Your price point is like, come on, guys, you gotta try it.
Thank you. Well,
You do.
I want it to be a price of a latte a month because I think about
It's less than that.
Well, New York latte.
In New York.
It's My Human Design is the app. And the podcast is Human Design with Jenna Zoe. And then I'm just Jenna Zoe on Instagram. And then we have a My Human Design Instagram, which is where we post like, actual like info and tips and stuff on the different designs and stuff. If you want to if you dip your toe in.
Do you know you're literally one of the only podcasts I can listen to? Because I've just become very sensitive to consuming. And I feel like when I listen to you, it doesn't feel that way. And it feels very different.
Thank you. Well, I watch yours, I told you. And I've watched almost every episode.
Oh my, I've listened to every episode of yours. Every Tuesday.
We just want to hang out more, that's all. Don't listen to us.
You need to move. Come on, I've told you. She lives in Ibiza.
It's true. For now.
Yes.
We'll see.
I can't wait to see what's to come.
We don't even have to figure it out.
Exactly. Give over. Oh my God, that was so good.
That was so fun.